After her racist attack on Caitlin Clark went viral and the WNBA attempted to ignore it, Karma delivered the perfect punishment Indiana Fever and Atlanta Dream played. Indiana Fever is where Caitlin Clark plays. Atlanta Dream is where Brittney Griner plays. Now, tell me what it looks like Brittney Griner is saying here for the tick fouls that we were discussing earlier today. For some background, this was in the fourth quarter after Brittney Griner fouled out against Caitlin Clark, and Indiana Fever won by 5 points. Let me tell you what I believe she said. Caitlin Clark is the best thing that could have happened to the WNBA, but many players despise her because she is white. The league, which had protected her for weeks, just made a decision that changes everything, and Griner's career may be over. In all honesty, she earned every bit of what is coming. It would be more satisfying to watch Griner face the consequences of her racist remarks, or to see the WNBA finally grow a backbone and actually enforce their own rules. Caitlin Clark is a white girl, as she is saying trash and then calling her a white girl. After weeks of the WNBA acting as though they were unaware of her racist attack on Caitlin Clark, the league office just dropped a bombshell that is rocking the basketball world. The same organization that went to great lengths to shield Griner from accountability has finally been forced to take action, and the results are absolutely devastating. If you want to make people never watch the WNBA again, this is a great way to do it. If the league is going to be rooted in this kind of nastiness with regard to its only real star, good luck to them. But let's start with the actual cause of this instant karma moment. Griner was caught on camera mouthing trash effing white girl after fouling out of a game against Clark in the Indiana Fever. Brittney Griner was caught on tape during a game with the Indiana Fever, dropping racial slurs against Caitlin Clark. I mean, pretty obviously doing so. You know, the left has a real problem in the United States. They've spent the last few decades talking about how racism is a problem with that problem, and there's a problem with that, which is that there isn't enough race. The way is about as low as mine is calling her trash and an effing white girl. Of course, if Caitlin Clark had ever said the same thing in reverse, using black instead of white in that sentence, her WNBA career would have ended, but Brittney Griner is still going strong. The video was unquestionable. The lip reading was verified by several experts, and the racist intent was clear to anyone with working eyes. However, rather than facing immediate repercussions, the WNBA went into full damage control mode to safeguard their valued veteran player. The league that started looking into fictitious racism from Indiana Fever fans abruptly became selectively blind. They disregarded the evidence and dismissed the concerns when one of their own celebrities was caught on national television acting in a racist manner, hoping that the controversy would simply go away. However, karma has a way of bringing the truth to light, and Griner's protection racket just came crashing down in spectacular fashion. Everyone else, I mean, I know that there are always consequences for actions, and I already knew that I was going to get some time for that, and, you know, I respect you, so I got 3 games. Okay, I'm not disputing that at all, but do I think that it shouldn't have been 3 across the board? Boom. The contract suspension that just hit Griner isn't about a single incident. It's about a pattern of behavior that the league can no longer ignore or excuse. This is the same player who complained about crowd noise because fans were actually watching games for once. This is the same person who was saved from international imprisonment only to turn around and make racist remarks about fellow American athletes. Her entitlement and ingratitude have finally caught up with her. Brittney Griner is playing a game. What Brittney Griner calls, I was not going to comment on any of this until this happened, but watch what she says. The whole internet has responded to this. Here's Brittney Griner, who is playing against Indiana Fever. Look what she's saying. Go ahead, Rob, for the ticky-tack files that we were talking about earlier today. Well, that pretty much sounds like trash effing white girl Let's be honest. The entire market responds to this with Brittney Griner, followed by the other quote, Rob. After that, I'm going to wrap up and then I'm going to add them. She said about the NBA, it's hilarious how everything works out. The financial ramifications of this suspension are extremely harsh for Griner. She's not only losing game checks, but she's also losing endorsement opportunities, sponsorship deals, and any chance of repairing her reputation following this controversy. The prison exchange that brought her home cost the United States a convicted arms dealer, and her response has been nothing but gratitude and animosity toward the WNBA's decision comes at precisely the right time because they can no longer afford to protect problematic players. Caitlin Clark has brought women's basketball to a level of attention and revenue never before seen in the league, and casual fans who found the sport through Clark will not put up with racist behavior from seasoned players who should know better. The business case for accountability finally outweighed the politics of protection. The suspension announcement sent shockwaves through social media immediately because most people, the fact that consequences finally caught up with her shows that even protected players have limits to what they can get away with. The victimhood shield that shielded Griner for so long has finally cracked. Currently, you have 10 points and 5 rebounds. We see the Atlanta Dream being very angry right now. She's talking to the referees about holding. We're going to send it back to you guys. We're going to ask you guys very important questions. The league office finally realized that protecting Griner was more expensive than punishing her because money talks and Griner's racist behavior were becoming too costly to ignore. The contract language that allowed for this suspension was apparently always there, buried in the standard player agreements that nobody bothered to read carefully. The WNBA had the power to take action all along, but they chose not to use it. This suspension is especially devastating because it comes just as the WNBA is trying to capitalize on the growth that Clark has generated. Although Griner's teammates and supporters are frantically trying to defend her, their arguments crumble under scrutiny. They are saying that the suspension was unfair, that the evidence was inconclusive, and that veteran players should be given more consideration. But none of those excuses change the fact that she was caught making racist remarks about the league's biggest star on live television. The video evidence is unmistakable, and no amount of spin can change what happened. Everyone witnessed it firsthand. Clark supporters have been calling for accountability for weeks, and they have been investigating fictitious racism from Fever fans while watching the WNBA protect Griner. This suspension feels like justice at last after a period of blatant bias and double standards. The basketball community is relieved because they were beginning to doubt the league's commitment to its declared values. The precedent that this suspension sets is significant for the WNBA's future because it sends a message that no player is above consequences, regardless of their status. The media's coverage of Griner's suspension has been particularly harsh because it forces journalists to face their own bias in covering this story. Many outlets initially downplayed or ignored the racist comments entirely, but now they have to explain why they weren't more aggressive in demanding accountability from the beginning or prior contributions to the league. That's exactly the kind of accountability that professional sports organizations need to maintain credibility with fans and sponsors. The culture of special treatment for certain players is finally being challenged in a meaningful way. Expectations have never been more clear. Griner's financial impact goes beyond her WNBA contract. Endorsement deals are being quietly canceled. Speaking engagements are being withdrawn, and future earning opportunities are disappearing. The consequences of her racist remarks will follow her for years, as is the case when public figures cross these lines. Corporate America has zero tolerance for racist behavior, especially when it is captured on camera. The suspension also reveals how much the WNBA's No Space for Hate campaign was just empty marketing rhetoric. Griner's downfall is made even more satisfying by the prisoner exchange context, which highlights the ingratitude and entitlement that led to this moment. The United States literally traded a convicted arms dealer to secure her freedom, and her response was to make racist remarks about fellow Americans. This level of ingratitude is truly breathtaking, and it makes her current suffering feel like poetic justice. The most blatant violation of their own stated values is the fact that it took outside pressure to force action, proving that their commitment to these principles was always superficial. Fear of consequences is a powerful motivator for behavioral change, and the timing of this suspension also coincides with important television negotiations and sponsorship renewals. The WNBA couldn't afford to have racist behavior hanging over these discussions, so protecting Griner was becoming more expensive than punishing her. The impact on other WNBA players is significant because they're realizing that protection from league leadership isn't guaranteed. Players who have been getting away with problematic behavior are suddenly wondering if they're next. This suspension could change the league as a whole. Fans who had lost faith in the WNBA's commitment to their stated values are celebrating this rare moment of actual accountability, which was finally forced upon the league when millions of dollars were at stake. The positive social media response to the suspension shows that taking action was the right business decision as well as the right moral choice. Public opinion was clearly against Griner from the moment the video surfaced. The legal implications of this suspension could be interesting because Griner might challenge the league's authority